Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Javier Hernandez, and I'm with Google Civics Outreach Team. We'll be getting started here shortly, just giving folks some time to join as well. For those of you who are already on the call today, we're going to be covering some useful tools for you all to use through Google to help both secure your accounts through our platform and also to help make sure that you're reaching your stakeholders effectively. So we'll be getting started shortly. Thank you. Hi, we're going to be getting started shortly. Before we get going, just want to remind folks that if they have any questions throughout this presentation, please make sure to drop them in the chat, and I'll make sure to get them at the end of this presentation. And then I will also be providing some resources at the end of this presentation on how you can follow up with us, both our team and just get any of this information that we communicated here today after the presentation. Great. I think we can probably get going now. Again, my name is Javier Hernandez. I am on Facebook's. I'm on Google's Civics Outreach Team, and here I cover our left of center engagement with our stakeholders. So I help them better understand our products as well as helping them manage escalations as things if our products don't work as they're intended to. Today I'm going to be walking through various different tools that you could be using to better reach your stakeholders. So let's get right into it. Here's the agenda I'll be covering today. First, I'm going to be talking about how you can how you can set up secure Google accounts, as well as how you could be appearing on search to make sure that you're capturing folks who are using our platform to find information and connect with your organizations. Then we're going to be covering how you can improve your website using Google tools. And then lastly, I'm just going to be sharing some email best practices. For many of you, email may be an important form of your digital outreach. So I just want to make sure that you are taking some steps to ensure that your communications are reaching Gmail users on our platform. So getting right into it. Before we get into all the different details of like how you could be connecting with folks, one of the things that's going to be most important for you, particularly in the civic space, is making sure that you are being secure online. As folks in the civic space, it's very possible that you're going to be the targets of bad actors. So making sure that you're keeping all your accounts and information safe is extremely important. But thankfully, Google has built some tools to keep you covered from our side. So on your screen, you're going to be seeing some resources that are going to be very helpful to you all, whether you're a G Suite user, regular consumer, Google consumer user, that you should be taking a look at. The first of those is going to be the security checkup. Security checkup is a step-by-step tool that helps you protect your accounts with personalized recommendations. You can manage here. You can manage which third-party apps have access to your account. Check your safe password for security issues and more. The privacy checkup tool helps you choose what your privacy settings are step by step in just a couple of minutes. So you can control what data is used to personalize your experience across Google services, and it's easy to change your privacy setting at any time. It's just another way that we try to help keep your data private, safe, and secure. Next, password checkup will give you a peace of mind with your passwords, so that your passwords are saved. Your safe passwords are secured. We recently launched password checkup, which will scan your safe password and notify you if any of your passwords have been compromised. And then lastly, password manager. Password manager is going to help manage your manage your passwords across our platform. So we built Password Manager directly into Chrome, which enables you to easily create and save strong passwords. It also syncs with your Google account so that you can manage all of your safe passwords in one place. You can find all of those different tools with these links and just get started in securing your accounts today. And one last final call out with security checkup. It'll also allow you to enable two-factor authentication. This is something that I would recommend for every single one of you. It's the most simple thing that you can do to secure your account, and it's a really easy step to get going. Great. Now I want to talk about how you could be appearing on Google search, and let's get straight into that. So before we jump into the tools that you can use to manage your presence on Google search, let's first talk about what the elements of Google search actually are. So the first of those elements are going to be Google ads, which you can see at the very top here in blue. These are going to appear, and this is a fictionalized search for George Washington. Here in this fictionalized search in blue, you're going to see where Google ads will appear, which is directly above the organic search results, which are going to populate relevant results for the specific search term that you put into Google. Next, to your right, you're going to see with knowledge panels. Some of you may already be familiar with what knowledge panels are, but knowledge panels are essentially information boxes that appear in Google when you search for people, places, organizations, or things. And when we have information on that in our knowledge graph, these are meant to help you get a quick snapshot of information on a topic based on Google's understanding, based on the available content on the web. The next element you may see is Google My Business office listings. This is I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later in this presentation, but this is essentially another way for your organization to become easy to find on search, and I'll get into that a little bit later in this presentation. So now that you know what the elements are, let's talk about how you can actually establish your presence on search. So the first is claiming your knowledge panel. If a knowledge panel already exists for your organization or your entity, you can claim it through Google's verification process. As you saw when we first looked at search results, knowledge panels spotlight public officials and organizational information. Most notably, it's going to highlight your title, website URL, Wikipedia bio, social media profile, featured images, stuff like that. People searching for organizations and public officials really appreciate this quick and concise information, particularly when it's on mobile. So if a knowledge panel exists for your organization, claiming it is a great way to make sure that that information that's surfacing is the most accurate and up to date, enhancing the user experience. So if a knowledge panel exists for your entity, you can claim it by first logging into your organization's shared Google account on a desktop or laptop. Ideally, we recommend that you do it from an incognito window, just to make sure that you're only logged in from the account that you actually want to claim that knowledge panel from. Second, you want to search the entity name. So in this case, it's George Washington. Third, you're going to navigate your cursor to the knowledge panel if it populates. And then you're going to see a button on the bottom of it that's going to say claim this knowledge panel at the bottom of it. you're going to click that button, and it's going to take you to where you're going to start the verification process. And just by clicking Get Verified, you'll get started. Next, you'll have the option to either instantly verify by using one of your social media accounts or Google Search Console account. And if that's not an option, then you can also do it by filling out a verification form that we have linked through that form. So if you, for instance, have access to your organizations or principals Twitter account, YouTube account, Facebook account, all of that. We can use that to verify that you're the authorized owner of that entity. But if we don't have enough information, we may ask you to fill out that form. Next, once you've completed the process, you should see that the Claim Your Knowledge Panel button has disappeared from the bottom of that knowledge panel. Now, you can actually take steps to edit that as the authority of that knowledge panel. Once you do that, you'll be able to make suggestions, which will be reviewed by Google's Entity Voice team to make sure that any information that's being edited is accurate and the most truthful. Great. So let's talk about how you actually go about suggesting edits to your knowledge panel. There's a lot of stuff that you could be editing when you see a knowledge panel. I mentioned some of those things like websites, social links, biographical information. After you've made those suggestions, our Google verification team is going to confirm the accuracy of it. And if it checks out, those changes will be reflected in the knowledge panel. So here's the steps you can take to suggest those edits. So to suggest edits, you just follow the instructions you see here. Log into your Google account on desktop. You're going to turn on web and app activity via the link here, but it's also something that you'll be able to you can Google and enable through your Google settings. Then you're going to search for the name again. You're going to navigate to the knowledge panel, and then you're going to click the Suggest and Edit button that's now going to appear at the top of that knowledge panel once you've completed the verification process. And then you can start suggesting those edits. So what are some basic details that you can suggest and that we see folks often edit? Those are going to be things like the feature image that appears, the title that appears under the name or feature image, as well as the any biographical information that's going to appear on that knowledge panel, website link, any like things that the organization or figure has published. That could be anything from books, music, any sort of creative that person has put forward. You can also add it in there. And then one thing to keep in mind is that one thing you will not be able to edit directly on the knowledge panel is the Wikipedia snippet that may appear when that knowledge panel surfaces. In order to edit that, you'd actually have to go into Wikipedia directly and suggest those edits. And then once those edits have been approved in Wikipedia, the knowledge panel should be updated to reflect those changes. Great. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can establish a presence on search, even if your organization or entity does not have a knowledge panel, meaning that Google doesn't have enough information in our knowledge graph in order to surface a knowledge panel. That being said, you're still going to be able to have a strong presence in search through the Google My Business process. And I'll show you what that's going to look like now. So here again, we have an example of a Google search for George Washington that features a fictional business listing. This that you're seeing here on the right is going to be what a standard business listing may appear on Google. It's going to feature information like your location, office hours, and a whole host of different things that you can claim or establish on search. Like knowledge panels, business listings are going to showcase information about your organization. In the absence of a knowledge panel, this is going to be like the closest you're going to get to having a very bespoke, easy to read information surface on search. That includes things that like a short description about your organization's mission, your location, office hours, phone number, website. and upcoming events and more. You can also add photos that give users an inside look into your organization's work, so that, let's say someone searches for your organization, there may be some photos about recent events you've hosted, or your organization's logo, any other images that you might think might be relevant information that you want to communicate in a really easy to consume way when folks search for you on a search. So to get started, you want to first check if your organization's already listed in Google, right? So you can actually do that by going to www.google.com/business, and then you're going to click the button labeled Manage Now, and type in the name of your organization. If your business listing appears, you can claim it and just take ownership of that existing listing. If it doesn't show up, you can just click on a button that says Add Your Business to Google to get started with a new listing. And then once you've completed that process and you verify that you're authorized to claim this listing, you can begin making edits. So going to this website, though there are a couple of things that you'll be asked to do. You'll be asked to add in information about your organization. You'll be asked to provide information on whether or not you provide any goods of service or services. You'll be asked to choose a category for your business. So those are all things that are going to be really helpful in like giving people color to what your organization is and does. Next, if you prefer to also use smartphones, I showed you that the desktop version. You can also make updates with the Google My Business app, which you can find in both Android and Apple devices. It's really simple to download, and then once you have it, you can make all those necessary changes to your business listing. It makes it really simple to keep that information up to date. Now, the fourth tool you can use to help manage your presence on Google search is the next thing I want to talk about is actually Google Trends and news alerts. These are going to be tools that are going to be really helpful for you all to keep up with everything that's happening through your organization. I'm just going to jump right into it. So with Google Trends, you can explore what the world is searching for by entering keywords or topic into the Explore bar. On the home page, you'll find stories that have been curated by Google News Labs that provide additional insight into the data that we have. You can also see daily search trends and year-end search trends. This is going to be extremely helpful if you all are trying to determine what information people are looking for, what topics are really blowing up within the last 24 hours, week, month, year, and so on. This is going to give you really helpful strategic information as you're thinking about either the type of information you're going to be sharing through newsletters, the type of messaging that you want to develop as you're talking about certain issues. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can actually do that. So with Google Trends, you can compare the popularity of individual search terms, which can help you determine how you want to articulate a message, right? So if you know that folks are talking about a particular issue in several different ways, but you want to use the language that's going to resonate with the largest amount of people, or that is going to be understood widely, utilizing Google Trends to see how folks are actually talking about things is going to be really helpful to you. Additionally, you can compare both terms and topics when you go to the Explore tab of Google Trends. So when you input a search term, you'll see information that's related for the relative search term of a specific term. But if you add topics, you'll actually get information about the trends of a collection of related search terms. So if you wanted to compare trends of an individual term compared to its corresponding topics, you'd be able to better understand how a particular issue is resonating within a broader conversation. Or again, as I mentioned, see how what terms folks are using to discuss issues within a broader conversation. Next, I also want to talk about Google News Alerts. So with Google News Alerts, you can receive email notifications using keywords to track keywords that appear across our platform, whether that be on search, news, blogs, web, video, or more. This is a great way for you to stay on top of breaking and relevant news. It's also an easy way to compile news mentions if you're building out press clips for your organization. It's going to allow you to track a lot of different things, whether that's mentions in a blog post, mentions in a website, stuff like that, and you can choose how often you're going to get these notifications. You can choose what type of sites you're going to be receiving them from, what language you want to be tracking, what the location of the relevant searches, and much more. To get started on that, you can actually go to google.com/alerts to get started. Next, now that we've covered all of that, I want to get into how you can actually help highlight your website with maps and search, or your website event, sorry. So we actually we created this functionality within Google My Business that actually allows you to post events through your business listing. So you can, if you have an upcoming event that you want to mention in your Google My Business listing, when folks search for your organization, they're actually going to see those populate under the listing itself. Additionally, we have made it really easy for a lot of the events that you're already creating to auto-populate across our apps and our platform, just by having that information on your website. So with the Google's data highlighter tool, you can tag data about events on your website. Your events can then be eligible to display in the events experience on Google, which will feature your logo, a description of the event, ticketing information, and more. To give you an idea of how effective these listings can be, Eventbrite saw about 100% increase in their typical year-over-year growth in traffic from Google search after they implemented this tool. So this is going to be really effective in making sure that your events are getting visibility, and it's because it's built into your website experience already. As long as you properly tag that event information, it's going to auto-populate in a really easy, visually appealing way on search. So get started with it today to learn more. So now I'm going to talk about websites, and for a lot of folks, websites may be the first experience that a user may have with your organization's mission. So making sure that you are practicing the best possible website best practices is going to be critical to keeping folks engaged as they visit your websites. So let's talk about some tools that you can be using to improve your website experience. The first website tool is you all should be thinking about is Google Analytics. Adding analytics to your website gives you a deeper understanding of your visitors. It's a free tool that you can use to analyze data that's all organized in one place. So with Google Analytics, you can understand who and where your site visitors are coming from, and you can also evaluate the performance of your content, the effectiveness of the layout of your website, and more. This could be information about how long people are staying on the site, who they are and where they're coming from, what are they interested in, what page are they spending the most time in, where are you seeing a significant drop off in your page visit. So if you know that at some point after going through your website, people just tend to drop off, figuring out if there's information at the bottom of a page that's really important for you to highlight for your visitors, making sure that you're moving that information to the top before that drop off happens could be a really easy way for you to make sure that you're capturing visitors with the most relevant information before they actually leave your site. Those are just some examples. Analytics are going to help you kind of get a sense of how people are interacting with your website, and that may be useful if you're trying to build a new website that is going to capture user attention and drive action toward a particular link, all stuff like that. In addition to telling you about your site users, Google Analytics also makes it easy to understand how people are engaging with your website and what's working or not. So you're going to have a robust reports and dashboards, which will allow you to see how people are interacting. Google Analytics is also built with Google's advertising and publisher products. So you can use your analytics insight to reach the right people through advertising as well. And it's very similar to the type of data and information you're going to get through the Google Ads tools. So to get started, you can just go to analytics.google.com, and it will automatically redirect you to the sign up page where you can get started. Now, to sign up for Google Analytics, you're first going to log into your organization's shared Google account. In the upper right corner where it says in the upper right corner on a desktop or laptop, there when you're going to hit sign up. Then you're going to there we go. Yeah, then you're going to get directed to a landing page to fill out relevant information. Once you've filled out that relevant information, you're going to get a tracking ID. You're going to copy that tracking ID and then send it to either your website administrator so that they can add that code and a line of that code and then a line of coding to your site, or you can also find instructions on our help center to learn how you can do that on your own. And then once that's been added to your website, you're going to be all set. You should see data populating in Google Analytics, and you can start tracking it. Now, if to make things even easier, we've also created a Data Studio report template to help you pull the most relevant and helpful information about your website. So if you want to have an easy to pull one pager that you can present to other members of your team, or to help you track the performance of your website, you can use this template to build that report. This is a completely free resource that's available to anyone. Just all you have to do is just use the link that appears on the screen here. And then once you're logged on from your organization's account, you can make a copy of that template and then set up the time frame that you want to cover. So it can be, a month is typically what we recommend, but it can be, anything that you choose. And then the data is going to auto populate in a one pager format. That's going to be really easy for you to track that information. Next, I want to talk a little bit about site speed. And this is something that is surprisingly important if you all are not already aware of it. So the 53% of visitors abandon if a mobile site takes longer than 3 seconds to load. This is a really, really startling statistic, which means that if folks are coming to your site and they're not seeing content almost immediately when they visit that site, you're going to see a significant drop off over time of visitors because the experience is just going to be poor, and you're not going to be able to keep folks engaged. So you want to make sure that you're testing your site speed and building a site that loads quickly. We have a tool that will allow you to actually do that in terms of testing your speed. You could check how long it takes for your site to load by going to g.co/test my site. There you can see your site's load time, as well as you can receive a comprehensive report about your site's performance. But in addition to speed, you should also be thinking about how easy your site is to navigate. If it's easy to visitors to take action and find information that they're looking for, the better that user experience is going to be, and the more likely you are to receive visitors on your website. So making sure that you're building a really positive user experience is going to go a long way for your organization. Now, another Google tool that you can use to reach constituents is going to be Gmail. So there are a lot of simple guidelines that you could be following to make sure that your mail is actually ending up in the mailboxes of Gmail users, right? So I'm going to go through some of those now. So I'm sorry, yeah. The first of those, or better yet, let's first define what bulk mail is. So bulk mail is defined as an email sent to a group of recipients with or without their express willing consent to be a recipient. So bulk mail will be anything from mail that you're sending to 50 recipients that you copied and pasted off a contact list that you may have. It may be mail that you're sending through your MailChimp account to thousands of opted-in subscribers. A lot of these practices are going to apply to, you know, most of the type of interactions that you're having across Gmail that aren't direct interpersonal communications over mail. So it's really important for you to think like how you're building your experience on Gmail to make sure that it's not ending up in the spam box. So first, how does Gmail classify incoming mail? So some time ago, Gmail started implementing categories for mail, right? So it breaks down into different mailboxes that people can enable or disable based on their choosing. If they have those categories enabled, it'll break down into a primary mailbox, which will be the most relevant, you know, personal communications from folks in your contacts and stuff like that. Next, it'll be social, so mail related to social media channels and like notifications about logins and stuff like that. Then you're going to have promotions, which will be everything that will include sales from a local restaurant. That'll include discounts from a retailer, stuff like that. That will our filter will put those emails in the promotion tab. Then you'll have like updates that may be things like information from your electric company, your cable provider, bills, stuff like that. Anything that is relevant information for you, for accounts that you have, will be submitted into this category. And then forums, which will then be more broader conversations in groups, and stuff like that. So understanding these different categories is really important, because based on how you create your email and the signals that are included in those emails, it's going to tell Gmail what which one of these folders it's going to be added to, which may either decrease the visibility of your email, or if we have significant signs, could actually result in it ending in the spam box, which is where everything else will go that doesn't fall within these particular categories. So mail classifications automatically adjust to match users' preferences and actions. So that means that a lot of how things are categorized and where they end up are going to be actually based on user behavior. So if someone marking your mail as spam, has someone moved your mail into a particular category? Have they enabled or disabled certain categories? And then based on that, we'll look more closely at like user behavior to determine whether or not that's going to end up in one of the other categories or into the spam box. So making sure that you are kind of creating a positive experience through your mail, and so that the receiving user is providing positive feedback to Gmail, is going to be a surefire way for you to stay out, or like a really easy way for you to stay out of the spam folder. So what are some common reasons that what are some common reasons for emails to be classified as spam? I'm just going to go through a couple that you all should keep in mind as you're thinking about your email outreach. So first is if the link details on spam content, and if like, let me go through this one. So it'll basically be if there are if you're requesting any personal or confidential information from the user that may be similar to how spam emails may be kind of structured, right? So if you're using very spammy language, if you are requesting over email personal information, those are things that we've seen consistently are practices applied by scammers and spammers. So when our system detects that, it's much more likely to be classified as spam. Also, if the URL doesn't match the destination to the link that you're providing. So if you're providing a link that says that's www. Sign up to vote today, and then when you click on that, it takes you to a shop. Our systems will analyze that information, and then if we see those kind of signals, your mail is much more likely to end up in spam. Additionally, if the from header is posting incorrect information, so the header is going to be something that is going to share information with our systems, things like who the email is coming from, where it's going, what authorization does that email sender have? Do they have a verified verified domain? Things like that are going to send us signals to know whether or not this should be a trusted source of mail or not. So yeah, these are just, and then lastly, I just mentioned it, if your email domain is unauthenticated, and you can learn how to authenticate your domain if you haven't already by visiting our Google Help Center for Gmail. So now if let's say you feel like you have a great emailing campaign, but you're still, for some reason, you think that your open rate is not as high as it should be. You don't think your click-through rate is as high as it should be, and you want to make improvements to your email campaign to make sure that folks are actually connecting with your communications. So what could you be using? So your best bet is going to be the Postmaster tools. The Postmaster tools is a tool that provides metrics on reputation, spam rate, feedback loop, and other parameters that can help you identify and fix delivery and spam filter issues when sending email to Gmail or G Suite users. Right. So this is going to give you a lot of different information on the different kind of feedback that we're receiving on our end. You can go to gmail.com/postmasters to access this tool. Here you'll see that there's a lot of valuable information that you can get from the Postmaster tools. That can be things like if users are marking your email as spam. You're also going to get access through there a bunch of different best practices that we share with all of our stakeholders. You'll know if your emails are being sent securely and whether or not your domain is authenticated. And you'll also get some valuable information as to why your emails might not be delivering. There you're going to access several different dashboards, right? Some of these dashboards are the spam rate dashboards, which is going to show the volume of users that are reporting your mail as spam versus a mail that's being sent into the inbox. So only emails authenticated by DKIM are going to be eligible for spam rate calculations, and there you can find information on how you can get authenticated through this format on our Help Center site. Secondly, you're going to be able to access the domain and IP reputation dashboard, which is going to show the reputational score for your domain and IP based on historical signals. So the reputational score is going to be super important to how likely your mail is to end up in spam. So making sure that you keep that score high is going to be super important. Then you're also going to get access to the feedback loop dashboard, which is going to show more granular data for your organization and that have implemented the feedback loop. So the feedback loop will essentially just give us information about how people are sharing that feedback, which will then affect how other users are going to receive the mail. And then based on that constant input of feedback, you're going to be able to track like how your campaigns are performing and what kind of feedback you're receiving and how that's affecting your other communications as well. And then lastly, the one I want to highlight is the delivery errors dashboard, which is going to show rejected and failed traffic notifications versus all authenticated traffic coming from that domain, which is going to give you great information about whether or not there's any errors in your formatting and stuff like that. And then there's some other dashboards that I won't get into, but these are going to be some of the most important ones that you're going to be able to use. Now, lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can make sure that your bulk mail gets classified correctly through those different filters that I talked about, which is one of the simplest things that you can do to make sure that your mail is reaching your stakeholders. So here we go. Yeah. So one of the first things that you can do is send consistently from the same email address. If you are sending out various different types of email, so if on some days you're sending out fundraising emails, on other days you're sending out volunteering emails or newsletter updates or something like that, Each of those may have different open rates and click-through rates. Making sure that you're sending them from individual addresses that you can set up through your website or through G Suite and stuff like that, and that's going to help the overall delivery of those types of mail by making sure that they land in the correct category, so that the user expectation matches the user experience, and that you don't see folks reporting something as spam because it ended up in their primary mailbox, and instead of ending in like the appropriate one. So making sure that the promotional one. So making sure that you are sending from the right domain consistently is going to help them land in the correct category. Now, you want to avoid mixing a bunch of different messages in one mail to ensure that it's ending up under the right categories. So if you're including promotional content in an email that's going to also have financial transactions, Google may classify that as like promotional, despite the fact that you're providing information about financial transactions. Same goes with like information about volunteering or like personalized information for that individual user. If you mix too much information into that mail, it's going to jumble up where it actually ends up, and it may make it harder for those users to actually find that piece of mail. And then with that, I'm just going to open it up for questions and see if we have any questions here. We'd be able to access these slides. I will check with our Netroots organizer to make these slides available. I don't know exactly how I can upload them through the current through the application here, but I can follow up with the Netroots organizers to make sure that these slides are available to you all. And then one other thing I do want to flag for everyone here, So if you, following this presentation, if you do have questions, our team, the Civics Outreach team, has a alias where we cover folks within the civic space. Now, not everyone is within our team's scope. So if you reach out to us, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to get support directly from our team. But if you have questions that, and you think you may fall within like, our team scope. So if you are a federal, state, or local candidate to elected office, if you are a a national civics organization, as well as if you are a current elected official and stuff like that, we should be able to support you. If you're a nonprofit that's involved in the civic space, also reach out. We may be able to help you. So if you have any follow-up questions that come to mind later on, you can just like email us to get a response from us. And then we also have a website that you can visit to actually learn more about how you could be using all of our different products to better communicate with your stakeholders. That website is civicsresources.withgoogle.com. Again, it's civicsresources.withgoogle.com. And here you're actually going to find training resources. So if you want to take, look at some presentations that we've done in the past, you want to check out webinars that we've hosted previously on a lot of these different topics that I covered here, but more in depth, you can actually do so through that link. And again, our email is here on the screen if you need some follow-up support after this this presentation. And with that, thank you all for joining. I don't see that we have any additional questions here. So with that, again, thank you all. If you have any other questions, just make sure to email us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.